Hi, I'm Jo Taylor and welcome to the Misadventures podcast. This week, guys, Stamps wants to do the intro because we have got one of his heroes on the podcast.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't want to do the intro. Let's not go crazy. I just wanted to introduce the guest because this week we are talking to Beans on Toast.
Love beans on toast, me, with some chili flakes and cheese.
Yeah. However, this Beans on Toast is an amazing musical performer and a very funny human being. Hey!
Is that the calibre that we're working at here?
This is why I don't do the intros.
Yes, it is. This is going to be the first and only
First and only what?
time that you do the intro. So come on, tell the listeners a little bit, what's coming up. Did you enjoy recording with Beans?
Oh, I have to carry on. Oh, I didn't know. I thought I was done.
No, if you're doing this, you're doing it. Come on, commit to the role.
Do you know what? I had a lovely chat.
I need 100% stamp.
I think we both had a lovely chat with Beans on Toast. He's got one of them voices that you could just listen to. I want to sit in a pub, have a pint with him, and just listen to him talk to us. And it was a bit different this week. As Beans said, we're not able to travel to other countries as freely as we want at the moment. So he kind of gave us 3 homegrown stories. A legendary Glastonbury tale, where he kind of admits to breaking the law, but we'll gloss over that.
Yeah.
The fact that he thinks he could turn into a werewolf, and then another little bonus story at the end.
So that's your intro, Stamps. Probably won't do that again. You did all right. I'm not going to sack you for it. We'll put it that way. Let's go to the episode.
Oh, that's my line.
Welcome, Beans on Toast, to the Misadventures podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Do you have a jingle?
Oh, we do beforehand. It's already been played.
Oh, has it? Great jingle.
Yeah.
What a brilliant jingle. Hello, Joe.
Maybe you could do one for us. How about that? Do you want to be the jingle for our podcast?
The Misadventures podcast. The Misadventures podcast. Do-do-do-do-do. How's that?
Brilliant. Stamps, did you get it?
I'm copywriting that. That's going in.
That's all yours.
Alrighty then, we are off. So you're all good today?
Yes. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, we're all right. Just feeling a bit Monday-ish. I had a bit of a chit-chat with Stamps beforehand. Told him all my woes and everything, and now I'm right as rain again. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Stamps is feeling all right as well now.
Oh, yeah, I feel peachy now that you've unburdened everything that's wrong with the world onto me.
Yep, thought so.
Whoa. I'm glad everybody's feeling good. Have you not been to it's the for the people listening at home, today is the Monday the 12th of April, so the kind of pubs have reopened again. So I took my 3-year-old for a pint. I mean, she didn't have a pint, she had an orange juice.
She just had a half, did she?
But just she has she's got a little orange juice special that she has at the pub, but she enjoyed it for a little bit. So yeah, a seminal day in many ways.
I didn't go to the pub today, but I have got my first girls' night out booked in. So, and that's not this weekend, next weekend. So that's when Coventry Town Centre will,
explode into life. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Lock up the lads of Coventry.
Oh, goodness. So, normally on this podcast, we are taken on, far-flung places to hear everyone's mishaps and holiday woes. But today, we are staying more local in the UK. Beans, you've got a couple of stories for us, haven't you?
Yeah, when you sent through the invite, I thought the reality is probably holidays at home this year.
Yep.
I actually find the fact that everybody is so disgraced by the fact they can't go on a holiday is a really ignorant attitude towards everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
But anyway, we won't get stuck into that. But yeah, I sort of figured rather than telling, I love the idea of the Misadventures podcast, and instantly I thought about, world travels and stuff like that. But I thought I'll keep it closer to home. So yeah, I've got 3 stories loosely in my mind that I've been trying to remember and do a little bit of research to get my dates right, but they're all based here in the UK.
Okay then, sounds brilliant. So, kick us off. What's your first story?
Well, the first one is a Glastonbury story, which, I mean, one of many Glastonbury stories for me, but also, obviously, Glastonbury didn't happen, but I guess, like me, there's a lot of people out there that are quite looking forward to, festivals coming back this summer, so I thought it might be good to indulge. And I think I said in my email to you that it was 2002. I think that's right. I mean, I've been to Glastonbury a lot. And
now they all blur into one.
I've never been to a festival.
You've never been to a festival full stop?
No, never.
Oh, my word. Well, you should come.
I know.
I mean, if you're going to start anywhere, Glastonbury would be a good start because it's kind of like all festivals combined.
Yeah, I don't want to go off on a tangent here because I really, really could.
You're going to talk about camping again, aren't you?
Oh, God, yeah. Just, I can't do it. Like, and do you know what? I know that there's other options, but it just seems really expensive. And I'm totally bought into the idea of it's about the atmosphere, but the whole idea of sleeping underneath a tent in mud and getting cups of piss flung onto you, only being able to use baby wipes for however many days to clean
not that you're
yourself.
A princess or anything.
I'm not sure it really warrants, being able to see a dot on a stage.
You did start that off by saying I don't know whether, which that's probably all I took from that, because if you don't know, you don't know because you've never tried it.
No, I don't. I know. I appreciate that. I do want to. I think I'd do a day trip though. I think
I could. Well, we'll sort it out. I'll sort you out a pair of tickets to a festival this summer, and I promise you. And if you get a pint of piss thrown at you, which is you got more chance of that happening in Coventry Town Centre than you have a festival feels. So we'll remedy that. We'll remedy that anyway.
It's just a myth that people think happens. This pint of piss.
I think if if you're looking for if you're looking to sleep underneath a tent in the mud and sort of like wallow in your own piss, there's probably you can sort that out. But if you don't want that to happen, it's easy enough to avoid. I mean, not me, but people go to festivals in bloody luxury these days. It's a world away from when I was at Reading Festival when I was 16. But anyway, let's talk about this Glastonbury, Monday morning, 2002.
We're going way back.
Yeah, I was trying to think of things that had sort of gone wrong. And this doesn't necessarily paint the prettiest picture of me, this story, but it was... So Glastonbury, for those who don't know, is like this giant festival. And there's, at the very top of the festival site, there's a stone circle, which isn't like... It's not an ancient stone circle or anything like that. It was put there by the people that run the festival sometime in the past. But it still holds this, like, it's a really symbolic place for the festival. You look down over the whole of the site, and traditionally it's like on Sunday night, Monday morning, when things do close, everybody descends to the stone circle, and it is one of the most amazing experiences ever. It's just full of life, and basically there's people after having like potentially the best weekend of their lives, they're sat around. There's no entertainment as such, so it's just people sat in small groups, and a kind of attitude that means people, you can just kind of walk into other people's little circles of groups and chatting, and everybody's there very much sort of like as everyone's on the same page at this sort of like massive after party, basically. And
just like all social barriers have been removed.
Yeah, it's just really like, it looks great as well, because you're looking down at the site and it's just, there's like, it's year after year, I'd always go on a Monday morning. I actually had one dude called Macca that I met one year at Stone Circle, and I never see him anywhere else. And I met him 4 years running. We just said, I'll see you next year at same time, same place. Never saw him at the festival anywhere apart from Monday morning. But so 2002 was the year that the super fence went up at Glastonbury, which up until that, I'd been going since 97, I think was my first ever Glastonbury. And where originally you could just either jump a fence or you could like pay £5 for someone to stamp your hand. And it was very like, if you wanted to get into Glastonbury without a ticket, it was kind of what everybody did. And it was just a dumb thing. So after years of kind of blagging it or climbing in or whatever, they put up the super fence. And along with the super fence came like a big PR campaign that basically said, we're not letting people break into Glastonbury anymore. So I ended up getting a job in order to get in. And it was very much like through a mate. It was like, yeah, when I got there wasn't actually much to do. They just kind of said, look, just you're in now, just kind of get on with it. But I don't know, I had maybe a sort of perhaps delusions of grandeur about my role within the festival. I maybe feeling a bit self-important by Monday morning. But anyway, I'd had this wicked weekend and I was up there talking to a complete stranger, sat down, and we'd been talking for hours about, you know, our loves and lives and fears. And he was like a real solid dude. And they had this, I'd never seen it before or since, but they had these giant flags up all the way down the side of the hill of the stone circle, like huge, really colourful sort of silk, really beautiful flags. And there was maybe like 10 either side of the hill going down. I was just sitting chatting with this guy and I saw these like 3 kids. They must have been maybe like 11 or 12, like young kids, but like little scamps.
Oh, so they were kids then?
Yeah, there's kids everywhere at Glasgow, yeah, but these were like little scamp kids as well, like, and they come running out of the bushes and they went to the bottom of this, and like the flagpoles were maybe 10, 15 foot high, like massive flags, and these kids, they pulled one of the flags out of the holder, laid it down really gently, and then undid the knots of this flag and just untied really neatly, like really professionally, just took this flag, folded it up, sucked it in their jacket and just ran back into the bush. And me and this guy that I was sitting with, I was like, that was amazing. We sort of we clocked it. We clocked it early on and it was like, fuck, did that just happen? Like them kids just...
Yeah, did you see that? Was that real?
Yeah. And we was talking about it for ages. And I said, look, you know what? It actually makes me want to go and take one down. And I was like, I just wish...
Oh, no.
I just wish that we could. And the guy that I'd been chatting to, he said, mate, I'm a professional scaffolder. Like, if you want to take one down, let's do it.
Let's have a go.
Fuck it. And we went down, we walked down, and like, you know, there's hundreds of people all around, and we just like bowled in with the kind of confidence you need to pull that off. I think the guy had like a high vis, it's very dirty, but it's a high vis jacket on. But yeah, we picked up the flagpole out of the scaffolding. He showed us how to do it. We gently laid it down. People even helped out. We undid the knots, folded up the flag, and we was like, when we was doing it, it was so easy. He was like, let's do 2 and we'll have 1 each. I was like, all right. Great. And we took down and we was just like, right, okay, bye. Took it down and then and then went back to where we were sitting. We put the poles back into the thing, left it really neat. And these huge flags, they were like really nice silk. So I folded them down and it was like as big as a tea towel. Just held it in my hand and just walked and went and sat down. And that was it. We just kind of got on with night. I sort of lost the guy that had done the flags. And then like hours passed. And then I saw this other guy come and start taking a flag down. And I was like, oh, someone's seen us and they've got the same idea. And then it was basically 3 or 4 people that took one down. And then they took another. And then they took another. And I was just like, mate, they're taking too many. Like, they can't, it's fair enough taking one. I had this weird justification about...
Yeah, you've got to have morals.
Steal one, but don't take the piss.
Yeah. And I was like, don't take them all. And by the time they got to like the 6th one, I was like, I've had enough of this. I'm going to go and have a word.
What, with your flag in your pocket? You were going to have a word?
Yeah, so I went over and I went up to the guy. I was like, look, mate, you can't really take the flags down. And he was like, I was like, you're only allowed 1 each.
Oh, no.
And he was like,
I feel like I know where this is going.
What do you mean? And I was like, well, I took one. I was like, that guy over there pointed at the other guy who was sitting with some other. I was like, he took one, and the kids ran off with one of the thing. And the guy just pulls his radio out, and he's like, you're gonna have to give him back. I was like, oh, fuck. And he was like, mate, I work for the festival. We've come to take him down because we've had reports of someone stealing the flags.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, well, look. And I tried to pretend that I didn't know where the other guy was. And he was like, you pointed him out. He took mine. He was like, go and tell your mate and get the flag back off him. And I had to walk over. I was like, mate, I've grassed us up. I've proper grassed us up. We've got to give it back. And then so we did. And it was all like a big laugh. And even the guy that I'd give it back to was fine with it. And then we sat down after that. And another dude walked over. And he sat down with us and he said, I've been watching you two for the past 5 hours. He goes, since you took that flag down, he was like, I know that now you've given it back. you need to know that flag was designed by an old school Glastonbury artist. That's like, if you did actually have it, that flag would have been worth about 1,500 quid.
Oh, no.
I mean, not that I would have sold it, it would have gone up in my bloody kitchen, for life. But yeah, and it was just like, wow. So I don't know where in looking back at that, I don't know how much of a picture it paints of me, but clearly I'm a thief, but
Yeah, but you've got one with a conscience.
only for one.
Yeah.
Yeah. An honor amongst thieves. So yeah, and I guess that probably if I did end up with the flag and found out that it was worth loads of money and it was still up in my kitchen, then I probably wouldn't be talking about it on the podcast. So it's like the fact that I got caught maybe makes me more honest about my want to steal from things that I love. But yeah, there you go. There's a misadventure from Glastonbury.
But they've had you back since, right?
This was years before I was even playing as Beans on Toast. This was like, I think maybe it's, when you're a little kid and you go to a party and on the way out, you get a little goodie bag with your own toys and shit like that. I think it was a little bit like that. I felt like I'd worked for the festival and now I was going to go and I was going to take a nice picturesque silk flag with me.
A little reminder.
Yeah,
I think it's a bit of a stretch to say it's like going to a kid's party and getting a goodie bag. You got a job to get yourself into the festival pretty much for free, but didn't have to do any work. And then tried to, claim a flag that was worth a fair amount.
Little did I know.
And at the same time, got on your high horse because someone else had the audacity to take 6, and you thought, I'm not having this. 1's all right, but you're not having 6.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't think about the not doing any work and getting in for free aspect of it all.
When was the first time you played there after that?
Oh, like I said, they all blur into one, but it would have been like 2008, maybe. My first 2007, 2008 was my first gig. I played on the left field stage, which is Billy Bragg's stage. And my gig there, my first ever gig at Glastonbury was, I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday morning at 11 a.m.
Nice.
And which is, not a great slot.
Yeah, early doors.
Playing at that early any day. But then when I looked at the lineup and how it was actually like I was the first act to play on any of the official stages, just because it was so bloody early. None of the other stages had opened. So I put a spin on it and I was like, Beans on Toast opens Glastonbury. And
oh, you got her. I'm totally on board with that. 100%.
Mate, and it went mad for years. That was on my Wikipedia page, and everyone would ask me in interviews, so how was it to open Glastonbury?
Oh, no.
I was like, it's just like, I had to work hard to get it removed from my Wikipedia page just because it was like kept coming up. And the gig was dire as well. I hadn't slept all night on doing Cheap Speed all night and got clambered onto stage, falling over. It was back when my voice used to sound like this, and I was like, just couldn't sing, and we just kept on fumbled through. I was surprised that I ever got another gig there, but I sort of soldiered on and have had some glorious shows since then. But yeah, long time ago.
I want to know, do the flags still fly? The one that you've had folded up in your pocket, are they still there now?
No, it was I've never seen them since. And I was like today when I was trying.
Surprising that.
I never dared putting them back up.
Mate, I mean, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like Glastonbury stopped flying flags. Like Glastonbury never gonna stop flying flags, even if someone take. I think it was there was a little bit of that as well. It's like it's not fair enough. I found out afterwards that they were sacred, but there's a lot of flags in that place. It wasn't like I was taking something that they didn't have loads of.
I'm guessing you all weren't of the most sound mind at the time.
I don't think I'd slept for 3 days. Yeah.
See, that is the other thing as well. Just coming back to the idea of going to Glastonbury, I will admit I'm a bit of a princess about my sleep. I couldn't sleep. I'd be no good the next day. The last thing I'd want to do is try and go through a crowd.
But you can sleep. There's quiet camping spots and you just, take yourself off to bed whenever you want to go. I've had earlier nights at Glastonbury than I've that I'd ever have at home. Sometimes I remember whenever Kanye West headlined, I was like, went back to the van. We was going to go and watch someone, probably not Kanye, but whoever was headlining the Saturday night on any of the stages. It was like the cream of the crop Saturday night, and I was just like, yeah. Soundo in bed by 9:30.
Your body's just had enough, and it's like you need to sleep now, Jay.
Yeah, just tap out. Exactly.
Oh my goodness me!
You need to get to a festival, Joe.
Yeah, we'll sort that. We're going to sort that out. I've made it my mission now.
Right, I tell you what, you have got yourself a deal. If you get tickets to a festival, I will be there, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, with a smile on my face
for 10 minutes.
No, I promise I will. I will endure.
Okay. We'll sort it out. We will sort it out.
I mean, this is something I cannot wait to see. Right, where's next?
Cornwall.
In 1999.
In the solar eclipse.
I think it was 99. It was sometime around there. I was like 18.
Sounds like it could be a song title, I feel.
What, the solar eclipse of 1999?
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, it was like a really big thing, and it was like it sort of backfired. Basically, it was like you was going to be able to see a full solar eclipse from Cornwall for like the first time in a million years or whatever, and basically it sort of like exploded in the press. And it, it was sort of tabloid press run it for a week. And then basically they just said, oh, it's going to be a nightmare. There's going to be loads of traffic. No one's going to be able to cope. Because I remember there was loads of us were going to go from Essex. I grew up in Essex, and we was like, I didn't have a car, but we basically sorted out people with cars, and we was going to drive like a convoy down to Cornwall to watch the eclipse.
Joe, do you remember, how old were you in 99?
I was 6, but I feel like I do remember this because I don't know if I've got the right thing or not, but I swear like the newspapers were giving out those really crappy little glasses things. It's like, this will protect your retinas from the sun. Like, no, it will not.
Yeah, don't look at this. Don't look at the eclipse. Look at a piece of plastic.
What an awful thing to do, to make people look at the sun through a piece of plastic.
Well, I mean, it's like, especially for the UK, who get very little, of that kind of sort of epic cosmic sort of eclipses and whatnot. It was, there is reasons that it should be of interest and be popular, but it was just weird that it was like, but it was basically everybody in our crew, like everybody was going to go. There was maybe like 10 of us, maybe 20 that were planning on driving down to Cornwall, and then the newspaper said, don't go, it's going to be a nightmare. So everybody pulled out, and I had my heart set on it, and the only person that was going to drive was my mate Chinnery, and basically it was him and his girlfriend, and the only reason he wanted to go was because he'd just bought like a new car, and it was like a convertible. It was like a what was it? Ford Escort. Yes, it was like this amazing blue Escort convertible, and he was like just wanted to drive it basically. So everybody pulled out, and him and his girlfriend were like, "We're going." And so I was like, "Cool, I'll hitch a ride. Can I hitch a ride with you?" And basically, so it was a long fucking drive from Essex, like hours and hours, and I basically sat in the back with the top down for the whole way. So there was like, all I could hear was like no radio, no conversation, no, like literally just them two. I could see that they were talking and having fun in the front, and I was just like windy hair, just like wah, in the back for like 6.5 hours or something, however long it took to got there. And then you get to Cornwall, and everybody had, as usual, had fallen for the newspapers, and it was empty. Like no one there wasn't any traffic, and half the country didn't try and squeeze onto the kind of Cornish coast or anything like that. And
what was the big thing about going to Cornwall though? Why?
Because that was where you'd be able to view it in its like, the angle of certain beaches in Cornwall.
Oh, right, okay, in all its glory.
The sun was going to be right off the coast and right central, and right. Yeah, it was like a very special viewing spot for it. And Fistral Beach is where I went. But I got down, and I think realistically, I went down. I was interested in going more for the idea of like a big party than the idea of sort of like wanting to feel connected to the moon. But I left different. I left changed. Like I left connected. Like there wasn't actually much of a party, it turns out. I got there and we was there for 3 or 4 days and I had like no money and I'd sort of thought I had somewhere to stay that fell through. I ended up sleeping on a pool table in the room of in the lobby of this sort of cheap hotel, basically on a sleeping bag. There was just like you could crash on there for like £2 a night or something. So I was sort of sleeping on a pool table,
like some kind of urban Mary and Joseph. There's like no room at the inn.
Yeah, I mean, I was
have the pool table.
I was pretty good at turning up at places with nowhere to stay at that age, and I sort of thought that I expected it to be like a big free party. Like, and I thought that there'd be loads of stuff like, and there wasn't really. There was like, you know, if you wanted to go out, it was like the pubs and clubs of Newquay, and I was basically, my mate and his girlfriend didn't really want to hang out with me. So I was sort of there on me Todd. And the sort of days leading up to the eclipse were a bit of a letdown, basically. And then the day of the eclipse itself, I went to Fistral Beach. And it was like, woke up in the morning, and as everybody had been saying for the days coming up to it, it was like, it's going to be fucking cloudy, you know.
Oh, no.
And I woke up, and it was cloudy and drizzly, and I was like, you know, still got to follow through. Went to Fistral Beach, and I remember just literally just sitting underneath like like an old pier or something, just getting a bit of shelter. And there was no one, like, they said millions of people were going to turn up, and there was hardly anybody there, and it was a grey day. But there was like a little mic set up and a guy talking through it. And then maybe 10 minutes before the eclipse happened, this guy, the tone of this guy's voice just changed, and he was like, I don't know if anybody else can see this. He was like talking on a mic for a little PA, and he was like, look up. And there was like a gap in the clouds. It's like a tiny gap in the clouds that was kind of moving towards the sun. And he was like, look, the eclipse is in 15 minutes time and that hole is moving towards the sun. It might happen. We might actually get to see it. And it was like, all of a sudden there was this real like, whoa, this buzz just changed. And like more people started to appear. And lo and behold, the cloud fucking parted. Like at this point, I, like you, I had my little plastic things with dots in, and I was told not to see it. And I was just like, I walked out till I was like knee deep in the water. And you know, I just decided to give up on the glasses thing. And this hole just like, it went over the sun. So the sun like blinded your eyes as usual, completely clear through the whole of clouds. And then the moon moved in the way, and it was insane. The whole world, it was like the world fell asleep. And then it turns out there was way more people than you could see, because photo flashes went off from all the cliffs around, and they were like, it was like sparkling. It was like the ground was sparkling.
Oh, that does sound cool.
And just the colours and the change and the mood, like it shut everybody. It was like the first time someone's managed to shut everybody up. And it was like just in complete awe of it. And it lasted like milliseconds. It was like, and then the cloud come. You didn't see it come out because the cloud came back. But
just for that second.
Yeah, but it was, you know, like I said, I went for the party, and ever since then, I've always felt really connected to the moon, you know, like, and any type of it, you know, like the sort of lunar eclipses, and I'm sort of paid a lot more attention to full moons and stuff like that since then. And, you know, and actually that night afterwards, which was the last night we were staying, like, it did turn into, it was what I was looking for, you know, like there was it was easy to meet strangers, and I had a kind of like, yeah, everybody just got wild, as you would hope, you know, after a kind of cosmic event. Everybody got really wild.
I'm wondering, you say that you feel connected to the moon now. Like, do you feel like, you know, kind of midnight that you start to change, like you start to grow fur and your legs get a bit longer? And
only on full moons, not at midnight, on full moons.
Yeah, on full moons.
I actually once did think I was going to turn into a werewolf. I was hang
on a minute, what?
This is another story. You get a little bonus story. But I was
go for it, please.
I was at a recording studio, which is I think it might be in Cornwall way as well. Anyway, it's like it's on this tiny little island. It's like a beautiful studio, and there's nothing all around. And there was a lunar eclipse, and I wasn't actually recording in the studio. I was working with a band, so I had nothing to do. I was just there, and I was like, "Oh, there's a lunar eclipse." No one wanted to come with me again, so I went out into the forest, really stoned by myself, with this massive spliff, and I stood there.
Oh my goodness!
This can only end badly.
And I was like, I am standing here. I was like, my eyes pinned on the full moon, waiting for the lunar eclipse. And I'm like, standing there, pinned on it. And then I was just like, fuck, if anyone's going to turn into like, you know, I'm just going to wake up naked with everybody in the recording studio is going to be dead. There's going to be blood around my mouth. I felt like, and it really was like, what am I asking for here? I was just like alone in a forest, like off my head as well, just like pinned to the moon. But so, and I think if I was going to be, I don't know how to phrase it, but like if the world did have like dragons and elves and shit like that, I would be a werewolf. Yeah, I would be a werewolf. Yeah. What would you be?
Oh, God, that is such a tough question. I really don't know.
I mean, you already said you was a princess, so...
Well, yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go with the princess.
I don't know, Joe. I reckon you're more of like a fucking
princess.
Banshee.
I don't even know.
I don't know what it is either. Sounds offensive. What's a banshee?
And I'm fully expected to be so. Come on.
Banshee. Some kind of crazy screaming witch who just terrifies people. Or a succubus. You just drain the soul from everyone.
Hey, look.
Sounds like you know more about this than we do, man. And you?
I think I'm going traditional. I think I'm just going to be a vampire. I mean, if we're choosing.
No, I feel like you'd be like a little sidekick squire thing, you know, like in, like Entangled, the little like lizard and things like that. You'd be that happy little like, you know, sidekick.
The chameleon Entangled is called Pascal, by the way.
Yeah, Pascal. You would be Pascal.
I can't believe I'm talking about Tangled. Wait till I tell my daughter. Fuck.
I love that film.
Oh my good. Anyway, we've gone off tangent again, haven't we?
Oh, it happens.
I'm just the comic relief, basically, is what you're saying.
Pascal plays quite an important role in Tangled.
He does. This is true.
Oh, he does. He's brilliant. I think he's really good. His relationship with the horse as well. How they don't like each other. I think that's
bit of drama. Adds the bit of drama.
Right. So yes, Sam, I think that's your role.
Thanks, Joe. Are
you happy with that?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Good. And I'll be the princess. And then Beans, you can be.
And I'm the werewolf.
Yeah.
Beans can be a werewolf.
Like a brilliant film.
Oh.
This is a Disney film waiting to happen. This is, isn't it?
I'm intrigued though, Beans, because you basically what you were saying in your little moment in the woods is that what you thought was going to happen was you were going to look at the moon, turn into a werewolf, and then go back and basically like
slaughter everyone,
rip to shreds all the people,
eat everybody. Yeah, that's what werewolves do.
I know, but it's just to think that you would do that.
No, I thought the wolf inside me would.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
It's instinct. But did you risk it? Did you think, well, I might as well stay and see if that does happen, or did you think I better go back?
Yeah, I fucking tried to make it happen. I was like willing it on. I was like, come on, do the werewolf. I was like trying to picture like hairs coming out of my face and stuff, but like it didn't happen. But if ever there was a time that it was gonna, that was it. But yeah, I just think that I don't know. I don't think stuff like that happens as much as it used to. Is it werewolves and stuff?
No.
What, people turn into werewolves when they're looking at lunar eclipse? I'm gonna say no.
My nan used to tell me that there was a werewolf in jail in Southend. She had like a long running story that she always told me. It was like a sort of like a very well layered wind up, basically. And I wasn't allowed to tell anybody else about it, so I really believed it that they'd caught a werewolf and had it in the Southend jail. Strange for remembering that now, but yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe it's in the family.
When was it that you realised it was just an elaborate lie?
I think just now.
Oh right, okay. So this is a big day for you.
It is a big day, yeah.
But I'm with you. Like you tell yourself, obviously, this kind of stuff, it's not real. But me and my wife, we went on a little visit to Bodmin. We went to Bodmin Jail and the Beast of Bodmin Moor. And when you're down there and it's dark, oh my God, you convince yourself that the Beast of Bodmin Moor's a thing and it's going to get you.
And imagine when there wasn't pre-fucking science and shit like that, you know, when people literally just looked up, was like, try and work out what's going on. It was probably a fairy that made it. It probably makes more sense than trying to explain gravity to someone, I would imagine. So, yeah. Anyway.
It's really weird, actually. So yesterday, I was sat watching Sleeping Beauty, and I thought to myself, how mental would it have been the first person that thought about, like, magic? What state of mind were they in to think up magic? It makes me think of, the film Invention of Lying with Ricky Gervais. And it's like they can't get their head around the idea of somebody not telling the truth or telling something that's not real. Like, it must have been crazy to think up, like,
I think it's the other way around. I think, imagine when people stopped believing in it. Imagine if it was like no one could explain to you why the sun rose and set.
Oh yeah.
Like it was just a thing that happened. You'd definitely go with it's fucking magic. And then one day when the moon goes in front of the sun, and no one was going to warn you.
Yeah.
You're like, wow.
All them sacrifices for absolutely nothing. Oh, it happens anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Let's not risk it.
You would definitely have been drowned as a witch.
That's a compliment.
Right, hang on a minute.
That is a compliment.
No. How is that a compliment?
Well, because witches were just like intelligent, powerful women, basically misunderstood by the evil establishment.
Yeah, I take it back. You wouldn't have been drowned as a witch.
Right, let's bring it back down to earth a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And precisely Sheffield.
Yes.
So, so one of your tours around Sheffield to Stoke, of all places.
It was last year, or maybe the year before that, but recently it was
2020 didn't happen.
2020 didn't happen. Yeah, so no, it was December 2019. It would have been then, and
right, okay.
I was doing a tour and touring. Like I've toured for so long, it's like amazing how easy we've made it. My friends that I tour with, like normally touring, especially with a band, there's sound checks and there's like there's just a lot of things you need to do, and we've kind of honed it down so it's like a pretty slick machine. So we don't really have to think, like, especially just the instrumentation that we use. Sound checks are minimal. We can generally get to a venue like half hour before doors open and be sound checked, have the merch set up, have everything we need ready to roll. Like bang, bang, bang. The tour that we was on was my friend Matt was playing piano, and he was the support act as well as playing piano with me. And there was just 3 of us on the tour, and it was so slick. It was like, you wouldn't believe how quickly we could get everything done just so we could sit in the pub, or like even after a gig, we could just have it down. We could finish a gig and do everything you need to do and be back at the pub in 25 minutes. And we often kind of sort of pat ourselves on the back for what a sort of slick operation we run. And this tour specifically, because we just had it down so much so that we kind of started making huge errors.
Oh, wow.
I love that your measure of success is like, how quick can we get set up so we can get to
it's just because, like, and don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't care about the gig, of course, and it's like, and if the sound's not right, we would stay and get it right, but it's just like, we don't ask for much, and also working at venues that I've played many times before. I mean, this story in particular is after a gig at the Lead Mill in Sheffield, which is a fantastic venue that I've played, many, many times. And that you're going to be dealing with people that know the sound system and that side. So it was like, yeah, we had a great gig in Sheffield, and we finished the gig and we got out and we went to this, forget the name of the boozer, but we had quite the night out in Sheffield. And then the next day we was playing at the Sugar Mill in Stoke, and we was like, oh, nothing to worry about. It's all, it's easy. We just, it was a bit rainy, and the drive was through the moors or the dales or wherever it was. So we got up and we got in the car, and we was all like, yeah, piece of piss, let's go. We've got plenty of time. I think we chose to take the scenic route to see a bit more of the countryside. And then just as we was driving into Stoke-on-Trent to play at the Sugar Mill, Matt, who was sat in the back, looked into the back of the van, and he was like, we haven't got any of the stuff.
You've been so slick because you'd just forgotten to take anything with you.
We literally had an empty van. There wasn't one thing in our van.
Amazing.
Because quite more often than not, if there's not a decent car park or anything like that, it's quite usual you leave your stuff at the venue that you played at the night before, and then you go get it in the morning. and you drive on. And that was what we'd planned to do. We said, oh, can we leave the stuff here? We had it all packed up next to the door, and we just got up casually in the morning. We went and had a really leisurely breakfast, got in the car, took the scenic route, drove to fucking Stoke. It was like when we drove past the sign that said, welcome to Stoke, Matt was like, we haven't got any of the stuff. So we had to flip around and hoon it back, not the scenic route, and then call the venue and say, we're coming late, can someone come and give us our stuff back? And they was like, we did wonder. You said you was going to be here at 10 a.m. I was like, yeah, we're not. We're going to be there at 4 o'clock. We got into Stoke, turned around, drove back to Sheffield, got the stuff, drove back, and still got in, sound checked, and set up 5 minutes before doors open.
Proper rock and roll.
So it's still, I hope it's a misadventure enough for the podcast, because it did still end relatively well. But yeah, it was, I mean, the kind of hilarity of just how empty the van was. And it was like, we were just too fucking sure of ourselves. And we was just, it got to the point of idiocy, basically.
He's just done this casual double take. He just looked over his shoulder and then doink. Hang on a minute.
Yeah, it was like, there's nothing in the van. And we're like, what? It's like, the van's fucking empty. And Joel just hit the brakes what? And then obviously we all realised and all I could think about was our breakfast. It was this so leisurely, just sat around this calf with all just taking it easy. But yeah, so we haven't done it since. Saying that we've barely been on tour since. But yeah.
I feel like I'm the complete opposite. I feel like I'm going to forget everything. So I'm really, really conscious about making sure that I remember stuff. I have to have lists and everything.
I'm forgetful when it comes to names and maybe stuff that I've done and whatnot, but I don't really lose much stuff. But my guitar, although I did lose it and get it back. I played the same, my guitar Martin I had for for 15 years, and I played every single gig, every tour, and he was, I lost him once, but I got him back, basically.
Does everyone name their guitars? Is that a thing?
No, I doubt everybody does, but I also doubt I'm the only person.
I wasn't sure if it was just an industry thing.
An industry thing. I don't. If you're looking for kind of industry standards, you might be talking to the wrong person.
Yeah. Why Martin?
Because it's a Martin guitar. It's made by a company called Martin Guitars.
Fair enough. That's not very exciting, is it?
I thought there was some really elaborate story behind it.
But it's got Martin written on the top, and they're also a fantastic guitar company. Since then, Martin is retired now after nearly getting lost on the train, and my new guitar is called Peter. And I knew I needed another name along the lines of, because people get annoyed that I called Martin because it's a male name. A lot of my vehicles have male names as well, and it annoys people.
Yeah, my car's got a boy name.
People you can't call that car Billy. It's you got to call it. And I was like, mate, it's fucking 2020. Get over it. Get over it.
It's happening.
Yeah, but
my car is called Freddie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hang on, have you named your car Freddie after Freddie Flintoff?
Maybe. Yeah, he's Freddie the 40.
Who's Freddie Flintoff?
What? The love of my life. That's who he is.
Andrew Flintoff, Freddie Flintoff, is a cricketer.
Yeah, the cricketer.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he's a huge, famous English cricketer, and he's Joe's dream guest for the podcast.
Get him on.
No, hang on. No. Right, let's just take a step back, shall we? He is somebody that I have obsessed over for the last few years, I will admit. But he's not my dream guest. I would like to meet him, of course, but Stamps is on this pursuit to try and get hold of him for the podcast for me.
You see, yeah, he's my dream guest for Joe to talk to because she won't be able to talk to him.
That's the thing. I won't be able to say anything. I will probably just squeak.
Well, have you tried? Have you reached out? Lockdown's the best time for podcasts. Yeah,
Stamps is furiously trying to get hold of him.
That's it. We are reaching out.
But hang on, did you say he's the brother of a famous cricketer?
He is the cricketer.
But you must know who Freddie Flintoff is.
How have you not heard of him?
I just couldn't care less about cricket, basically. No disrespect to cricket or Freddie Flintoff, but
he hosts Top Gear.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, he hosts Top Gear. He's on League of Their Own. the panel show. Yeah, he's done quite a few things. But anyway,
maybe he's listening, checking out, see if it's good enough for him to share his stories.
Yeah, but my car is
named after
Freddie.
him.
Yes,
because you get to ride it.
Oh no! Goodness, why do you have to take it down that route? It's because he makes me feel safe.
That's so much better.
And then my car before Freddie was called Pablo the Polo.
Nice.
And then I had another Polo before that, and she was called Poppy. So, yeah, I've named all my cars.
Yeah, I'm surprised that everybody doesn't. But I sometimes I name things that don't need names. But yeah, definitely cars and guitars.
So your new one's called Peter.
Yeah, but that's because at the time my daughter said Peter when she tried to say guitar. I was like, what should we call it? She was like, guitar. It's like, all right, we'll go with Peter.
That is a better story that is better than Martin.
Well, I like to think it's a better guitar, but I'm only saying that because Martin's in the other room.
Oh my goodness.
He's listening.
So do you go abroad to do some of your touring then as well?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I've toured the States like many times, but I've also year before last went to Australia for the first time, which was incredible.
I want to go to Australia.
Yeah, go, man.
So where have you been? Tell me about it, because we tried to ask one of our previous guests about Australia and he couldn't really give me much information. So where did you go? How was it?
It was incredible. I was out there supporting a guy called William Crichton, who I met at Boomtown Festival here, and he's a great songwriter, and we hit it off. And he just said, do you want to come on tour? And then somehow in the conversation, he was like, oh, are you going to bring your wife and daughter? Ren, at the time, my daughter was like 18 months. And I was like, normally, if you're a support act, you don't get much hospitality. You might get a seat in the van and somewhere to sleep. But I was like, can I bring my wife and daughter on tour? And he was like, yeah, man. He's like, I got 2 young kids. I toured with them. He's like, there's room in the van and you'd have your own hotel room. If you want to bring them, bring them. And I was like, they are coming.
Yeah.
So we did, she was, Ren I think was 18 months at the time, and she just started learning how to walk. So we put her on a flight for 30 hours, took her to the other side of the world.
Oh, yeah.
But it was quite the trip. I've got a really old dear friend of mine that lives in New Zealand that I went to school with. So I hadn't seen him for, 10 years or whatever. So we flew to New Zealand. The plan was to have a holiday in New Zealand and then go to Australia and do the tour. And when that was all announced, a band that I do a lot of stuff with called Flogging Molly announced some shows in Australia when I was going to be in New Zealand. And it was I basically got in touch and said, can I play? So what happened is my wife and daughter stayed with my mate in New Zealand and had a holiday. And I went by myself to Australia and played. That time I just played Sydney and Melbourne. And then the family flew over and we did a tour. And we didn't travel too far. We started in Sydney. For the next 4 nights, it was like a 3-hour drive south. I forget the names of the towns, but like small towns. We played in like Castlemaine outside of Melbourne, whatever the capital is. We played there. Sorry, I'm forgetting the names of the places, but it's a beautiful country. Like I was raised on Neighbours and Home and Away.
Oh, really?
So always kind of fond of the Aussies for that. But I mean, it's like really Jurassic to look at, and really, really welcoming. As usual, we're kind of gigging and touring, but yeah, there's a kind of humor. My music went down well. I think there's a certain humor to the kind of like, well, fuck it sort of attitude.
Oh yeah, they've definitely got that attitude, haven't they? Like I think
that they have.
Yes, I was going to ask about your stuff, because a lot of your stuff's obviously like fairly, like you say, humorous, provocative, but some of it's very English, British. Do they get that over there? I would guess maybe more so than the Americans.
More so than the States, yeah. There was a few things in the States when I was first out there where it was just like, I mean, the biggest thing in the States is that the name beans on toast doesn't translate because they don't have it as a dish. Yeah. They have beans and they have toast, but it's like calling yourself kind of like potatoes and cream or something like that. It sounds like you're just trying to be wacky for the sake of it. So I tried to change my name to Hot Dog when I first went to the States. And I was like, I'm redoing all the artwork for all my records. And I'm just going to, when I'm in the States, I'm going to call myself Hot Dog. And that became a pain in the ass. But when I was there, I signed off my emails, Hot Dog. The States, I found that same as what I did in Australia, is I bridged the gap by writing a song about my experience there extremely quickly. I'd already knew so much about America and had so much of a kind of interest in the place, especially culturally, you know, again, being raised on American movies and books and, you know, and films. So I was like, I wrote songs about American cities that I was at, and also in the States, I got a lot of songs slagging off the royal family as well. So, you know, you sing about Prince Harry in America and they're like, oh, Prince Harry is so English, you know, like, it don't matter what you're saying, they kind of like ticks that box. And in Australia, I did the same thing. I got a song called Your Old Mate Beano, which was basically like, it's just listing off all of the words that they have abbreviated to end with an O, be it like Dongo or Regio instead of registration. And, you know, like the list literally goes on. So I just wrote a long list, turned it into a song. And then anytime it's like, is this not getting across? I'll just sing that song. I also did it in Latvia. I got a song, I played a gig in Latvia years ago at this massive festival. And I was like, no one's going to get it at all. At the time, I had a lot less songs in my repertoire. And it was a big festival stage. And the kid who picked me up from the airport and drove me down, who was like this wild 19-year-old, I just said to him, what's the rudest thing you can say in Latvian? And he was like, Suka Pimpa Malka. He was like, but do not say that on stage. And I was like, I promise I won't. And I just went out and went, Suka Pimpa Malka. So I just sung it. And like an empty field filled up in seconds because everybody come running along to find out what idiot was saying the most offensive thing they'd ever heard. And then once I had them, I think at that Latvian gig, I played that song in between all of my songs just to keep people's attention.
Oh, amazing.
I'm going to ask. I've got to ask. What does it mean?
I mean, suck my dick, bitch. but apparently in a lot more offensive manner than we even have words for.
Yeah.
I was like, you just cannot say it. And I was like, no. I mean, like, sounds perfect.
I love that, like, you're opening with that.
I mean, it's going to get someone's attention, right?
Yeah, and it works. You know, otherwise it would have been like, who's that English guy? What's he going on about? Because, I mean, I'm the first to admit that I, apart from words, I don't really have much to offer. People aren't going to be like, oh, he's got a nice voice, or wow, he's got great guitar playing skills. It's like, that's not what my music's about. It's about, you know, it's about the words and what I'm talking about. So if you take that out of it and put me in a place where, because it wasn't like that I clocked in Latvia, it wasn't like everyone was in Latvia but had a good understanding of the English language. Like, no one understood a word I was saying when I was talking. And I was like, this is just going to be awful for a gig for these people. I've got nothing for them. So I just went, I mean, it's a cheap trick, isn't it? Swear. But it's one I've been using for a long time.
Well, if it brings the crowd.
Right now, I'd be a lot more, you know, I feel a lot less like, what the hell am I going to sing about here? Because I've got such a sort of bigger, sort of a lot more ammunition to play with than perhaps in the early days. But I mean, but actually thinking about it now, like the fact, certainly in the States, if anything, I went the other way and just got, you know, as British as possible. And maybe it wasn't impressive in New York, but when you're in like Indiana, it's like all of a sudden being from Essex is like, it's sort of like fascinating to people. Ooh,
oh yeah,
what's it like? You know, it's like the further afield you go, the more kind of I don't know, like exotic you become.
100%. So like when I've been to America, going to somewhere not what you would class as a tourist place at all, you are exotic.
Well, yeah, and then it's just like, that's one of the sort of beauties of traveling, isn't it? Opening your mouth and people being like, and there just being an instant thing to talk about.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, well, what are you doing here? What? And it's like, conversations comes easy the further away you are from home, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. So like one of my stories from my travels is I was in Nashville in a bar, and I was just stood watching the band at the front, and I was stood next to this guy, and everyone kept coming up to him like trying to get like autographs, and he turned to me, he was like, do you want an autograph? I was like, no, I'm all right, I'm just stood watching the band. And he was like, do you want to take a picture? I was like, I'm really sorry, pal, but I don't know who you are. I am just here to watch the band. Should I know who you are? He was like, you're obviously not from around here, so probably not, but I'm a football player, and I've recently been on the Dancing with the Stars, you know, there Strictly. And I was like, oh, wicked. Like, did you do all right on it? And he was like, yeah, I did actually. And I was like, oh, well done. And then I went back.
You just brought him down to earth with a bang.
Well, right, I come back to my little group, and basically he was like, Joe, do you know who you were just talking to? I was like, I know it's somebody famous because he let me know he was famous, but I don't actually know him. And he was like, no, he's like a really massive football player. And he told me his name. And then there was another guy that was with him who was like an MVP, you know, the most valuable player. And I was like, oh, right. He was like, there is so many people that would kill to have just stood there for 10 minutes speaking to them.
I wouldn't have had a clue.
That's the thing, because you're not from round there.
Guy's obviously got no decorum.
Are you sure you don't want a picture? Are you sure you don't want a photograph?
No, I'm all right, thank you.
Please, take one, please.
Oh, no,
yes, like, if everybody else wants one, you might as well crack on with them. You figured like a bit of rest prize from it.
Yeah, no, he was like, obviously like really sound about it. It was like he knew people thought he was amazing, wanted to have a picture with him. And I think when I was just like, no, I'm all right, I'm good, thanks. I just want to watch the band. I think he was a bit gone out.
So go over and ask your friends, and then come back. Maybe you will want one.
Yeah, then you'll want a picture.
Yeah.
Go and see if they want a picture.
I know. Like, I was like, damn, I should have got a picture now. But when you are away from home, I feel that there's, I want to say, like more opportunity to just kind of be. It's like quite freeing, I feel, because there's no expectations or anything. You just go in with the flow, aren't you?
Traveling is so good for you. You know, just mentally and just sort of like just being outside of your comfort zone is, you know, somewhere that we should all go, basically, because it's strangely comfortable.
So, did the song "No Fit Girls in New York City" come from after a trip to New York City?
It did, yeah.
Did it?
and I think it probably came from a kind of like my girlfriend being like not trusting me. My girlfriend of the time not trusting me and coming back and being like, "Oh my god, I bet you were streaming with loads of girls out there." And I was like, "No, there's not. Hear this song." So it might have been a bit like that, but that was a long time ago. Cool, I haven't thought about that song for a long time.
Right, Stamps, have you got any more questions for Beans? This is your opportunity. Is there anything else?
No, I mean, I think we're coming to see you at the end of the year in Derby anyway. So,
and at the festival over the summer that we're yet to arrange.
Absolutely, yeah. Honestly, I'm so up for it.
I've taken a solemn oath of promising you something here on your podcast, so I will stand up to it. And then you can do another podcast about whether you got covered in piss or not. A debriefing.
Oh, I definitely think we'll have to. Yeah, we'll definitely have to revisit it afterwards.
We'll have to do an updated version. Yeah, that would be awesome. Oh well, thank you, Beans, for coming on to the Misadventures podcast. It has been really fun. Like I said, we normally go to all these exotic places, and we stayed in the UK this time. But honestly, I love the werewolf chat.
We got a new jingle.
Oh, a new jingle. Yeah. Honestly, this has been a good session.
All right. Well, I've enjoyed myself as well. So thank you for having me. And I'll see you soon.
Stamps, would you like the pleasure of doing the outro?
I mean, that's too much pressure, isn't it? I mean, I kind of knew I was doing the intro. Now you're just throwing an outro at me. I mean, yeah. So there we go. That was our episode with Beans on Toast. And what a cracker it was. I mean, I know you said at the end, have I got any more questions for him? I had lots more questions for him, to be honest. I could have just chatted to him all night, but he's a busy man and he had other stuff to do. And to be honest, he doesn't really care about talking to me.
I mean, he was really only here for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But did you enjoy talking to him, Joe?
Yeah, I did, He's not somebody that I was aware of before doing the podcast with him. And I obviously did a little bit of research before speaking to him, listened to a bit of his music. But honestly, like you said, he's very easy to speak to. And I bet he's got so many more stories. And the other thing is as well, if somebody has got friends with names like Stretch, they've got some good stories. I guess my question for you though, Stamps, is because they always say you shouldn't kind of like meet your heroes and things like that. You've not met him, but you have had an hour and a half chatting to him. How do you feel about it now? Do you think that it's a good thing? Do you think he lived up to your expectations?
He more than lived up to my expectations, if I'm being honest.
Fantastic.
He sounded like he was genuinely happy to talk to us. He's emailed us since to say he enjoyed himself. He offered to get us some festival tickets. And he taught us how to say "suck my dick, bitch" in Latvian.
I will admit, I did ask him to email to say he enjoyed himself just to make you smile.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Joe. Suka pimpa mauka.
Find us on Instagram, Misadventures in Travel. Follow us, like our posts, support us, and if you've got any stories, any misadventures of your own, DM us, let us know, and we could share them on the podcast.